Hi guys, take two. I just did this video, but I didn't have my microphone on, so we're going to look at Italian Gothic today. Don't forget you have a test coming up if you are in the class in 25-26. When we think about Gothic art in Western Europe, we are talking about these gigantic cathedrals, stained glass windows, and of course those couple of illuminated manuscripts that we looked at. When we think about Italy during this same time period, 1250 through 1400, 1400 being the time that we always associate with the beginning of the Renaissance, so this is pre-Renaissance art. Italian Gothic, we have to remember that Italy did not exist as a country. It was these provinces, city-states that were competing with one another. Sicily, Rome, Venice, Florence, all of these places. Sometimes a couple would band together to protect themselves from invaders or to try to expand their influence over the region. And then other times they might shift alliances and go with somebody else if it was advantageous to them at the moment. So we didn't have the kind of stability that you had in Western Europe, which meant that they were able to complete large projects like Chartres Cathedral and all of the Romanesque churches like St. Foy that we looked at. So we don't see as much large-scale projects, or we see unfinished things taking place there. But we do see art progressing. We're 1,000 years past the birth of Christianity, and so because of that, we've kind of gotten away from this humility that we had during the 1,000 years, and we're starting to see artists compete with one another, want to get attention, want to get wealthy off of their work, although probably not. But there were guilds where you could study, unless you were a woman, because you can't live at the guild if you're a woman, if you're not married to a mentor, for example. But that kept the number of artists down, right? Which meant that the prices for having commissions could be higher. So, as we move forward, we're going to look at this Scrovegni Chapel. The Scrovegni Chapel has murals, frescoes. However, remember that during this time period, we have these guilds that are related to Christian art that are about teaching people the right way to live and so on and so forth. So they might want to make things like illuminated manuscripts or altar pieces that were free of the wall, so you wouldn't have to come to see the artwork. The artwork could be brought from one place to another. This particular piece, however, this site is a chapel. It's very simple on the exterior, so we remember that, early Christian church, simple on the outside, beautiful on the inside, just like a good person might be one thing on the outside, but we want them to be beautiful on the inside. Scrovegni is the patron who donated funds to make these beautiful renovations take place on the inside of this place, which was on the site of a former Roman arena, therefore the Arena Chapel or the Scrovegni Chapel. And Scrovegni was worried that his father was not beautiful on the inside. He had overcharged people for loans, committing a sin known as usury. So in order to buy his father and his family an easier route into heaven, he donated funds to make this chapel as beautiful as it possibly could be. We see here, is actually going to be featured in the donation of the chapel to the church and to the angels there. The murals on the inside are painted by Giotto. They are frescoes, and they depict times before Jesus, and then the life of Jesus, and then the end of Jesus' life, the passion down here. So we get a sense as you stand in the middle of it of before Jesus, Jesus' life, and then the end of Jesus' life. As we said, the Scrovegni is here and is donating this, but look at these figures and look at how we can see their bodies and their poses. This is a huge step forward from the medieval formalism with those paper cutout looking figures that are all just about telling stories. Here we're celebrating how the body moves, trying to make it more naturalistic, in addition to telling the story. He does things in different ways compositionally. This one is symmetrical. It's the Last Judgment on the back wall as you would exit the church. So just like at Chartres Cathedral, we're reminded as we walk out, hey, we're all going to be judged outside in the real world. We have the saved on the left hand side, and we have the damned on the right hand side. You know me, I like to look at the damned all the time. It's more exciting and fun. So here we got, like, Christ in the middle casting these people down, right? And over here, they've got the devil with snakes coming out, grabbing people like he's going to toss them around. It's really creative, inventive, expressive sort of stuff going on there. One piece in particular that will be on, or potentially be on, the exam would be the lamentation. This is where Mary has realized that her son has died, right? Look at these expressive poses with the hands back, people slightly turned, they're not facing you and staring right at us. The whole thing is centered on this focal point, which isn't in the middle. It's not symmetrical balance anymore. So we're breaking some of the rules, trying to do things in a different way, in a more creative way. So we're moving towards a kind of mindset that's going to lead us into the Italian Renaissance, where we start to see work really start to look more and more like the kinds of things that we saw and that these artists would be seeing in the ruins of Rome around them, and those that traveled to Greece and other places saw the influence of their great naturalistic depiction of man and expressive types of poses and facial expressions in like Hellenistic Greek sculpture, right? But like, look at her expression here. Mary is very calm, happy with Jesus, who's got that halo still around him. But here she's grieving, very, very different way of depicting, like the feelings, the emotional impact that these things had on her. In addition, like, we have the backs of people. We never would see this in a medieval formal thing. Everybody would be facing us. So Giotto is using these figures to frame this part. So it is completely an artistic decision to do that, as opposed to having to have a meaning behind every figure that's in there. So he is really pushing things forward with these angels, this symbolism of a bare tree, which will again come back and have leaves again, just like Jesus would come back to life. So remember that we've got the test coming up. Study your vocab. We got a lot of words in here. There's even more than this, but take a look at that before the test. Don't forget, like, all of these words in addition to our early Christian vocabulary. It's up here somewhere. Yep, there it is. So we got a lot of things to remember, and I know you're going to do a great job on the exam. I'll see you soon.